Do you remember Avengers Endgame? Thanos wanted to wipe out half of humanity, all in the name of balance. Today, some Africans believe a similar game is being played in real life, not with infinite stone, but with agriculture, vaccine, and now family planning devices, pushed by Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation. But the big question is this real help or a hidden agenda? Watch this video.
As Gates revealed to Bill Moyers in 2003, those causes included the population issue, which sparked a lifelong interest in reproductive health.
One issue that really grabbed me as urgent were issues related to population, reproductive health.
But did you come to reproductive issues as an intellectual?
When I was growing up, my parents were always involved in various volunteer things. My dad was head of Planned Parenthood, and it was very controversial to be involved with that.
Gates tips his hand when he equates issues related to population with reproductive health. The topic is particularly controversial because population control and reproductive health have been used for half a century as a euphemism for eugenics, the discredited pseudoscience that holds that certain families are fit to be leaders of society by virtue of their superior genes. As transparent as it seems to us today that this ideology was a self-serving self-justification for the ruling class, it was quickly taken up as the great social crusade of the early 20th century. From Teddy Roosevelt to H.G. Wells to Julian Huxley to Winston Churchill, there was widespread support for the eugenicist notion that society must strive to make sure that the rich and well-born breed as much as possible, and the poor, infirm, and feeble-minded be prevented from having children. Now, the quest to reduce the size of the poor population was spoken of as population control and reproductive health. As Gates Sr. suggests, it is by working with like-minded partners that such great achievements in the field of global health can be made. For the Gates, these like-minded partners include the Rockefellers themselves. Bill Gates Sr. got to discuss global health, agriculture, and environment with the likes of David Rockefeller Sr. and David Rockefeller Jr. at a meeting on Philanthropy in a Global Century at Rockefeller University campus in 2000. And Bill Gates, as we have seen, co-hosted a meeting on reducing the population with David Rockefeller in 2009. But the most salacious hints of a deeper agenda are not to be found in the Gates' public associations, but in the associations that they have tried to hide from the public.
Jeffrey Epstein may be dead, but this story isn't. A shocking new report from the New York Times sheds light on the connection between Microsoft founder Bill Gates and the late Jeffrey Epstein. After Gates' name came up in connection with Epstein and MIT Media Lab, Gates gave a statement to the Wall Street Journal where he insisted he did not have any business relationship or friendship with Epstein. But new reporting from the New York Times outlines numerous meetings between Gates and Epstein and a conversation with Bill and Melinda Gates' foundation, a connection between their foundation and J.P. Morgan to set up a charitable fund that would financially benefit Epstein. You know what I want to know? Why?
Sources say several accusers have come forward in New Mexico, where Epstein owns a sprawling ranch. According to a new report published in the New York Times, Epstein wanted to use the ranch for controlled breeding, using his DNA to improve humanity. The article reports Epstein surrounded himself with leading scientists and would tell them he wanted to have 20 women impregnated at a time on the ranch.
As the New York Times explained, Epstein's plan to impregnate 20 women at a time at his New Mexico ranch in order to seed the human race with his DNA, a plan he told to a number of the scientific luminaries he kept in his orbit, put a modern gloss on a very old idea. Mr. Epstein's vision reflected his long-standing fascination with what has become known as transhumanism, the science of improving the human population through technologies like genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. Critics have likened transhumanism to a modern-day version of eugenics.
The Bill Gates Foundation is one of the richest charities in the world, if not the biggest. They say their goal is to improve health, fight poverty, and support development, especially in Africa. From agriculture to animal vaccine, from fertilizers to GMO seeds, and their influence runs so deep. Now they step into the world of women's reproductive health with a contraceptive device, an IUD that can last for 8 years. It is already being introduced in Nigeria and Kenya and some African countries. According to the foundation, this new hormonal IUD is designed to give women long-term control over pregnancy. Normally, an IUD lasts about 3 to 5 years, but this one, 8 years. They say it is safe, reversible, and will empower women in low and middle income countries. That is on paper. And on paper, it sounds like progress, right? They've even pledged $2.5 billion to expand women's health programs worldwide. But here is where Africa needs to pause and ask tough questions. Were this device tested long term in Africa before being introduced? You need to see another video. Watch this.
The German company Bayer bought US seed maker Monsanto for $63 billion in 2018. It inherited billions of dollars worth of lawsuits from farmers who claimed its weed killer Roundup had caused their cancer.
So the companies are merging that are directly known to cause the disease with a medical company that has a treatment for the disease.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation made a significant investment in Monsanto. They purchased 500,000 shares of Monsanto stock, which was valued at approximately $23.1 million. The foundation aims to help Africa achieve its own green revolution.
So your grandmother, 86, in the village, cannot plant her cassava. So when we say they are literally criminalizing agriculture, that's what we mean. So like if you do agriculture the normal way we did it, it's actually a criminal offense.
This effort includes investing in genetically modified crops, such as GMO rice, to improve crop yields and resilience.
It's about patents. So whoever controls the seed owns it. And eventually if that seed gets to us, they also control us.
You could have a case where the initial research is done by a Gates-funded institution. The media reporting on how well that research is conducted is a Gates-funded journalist from a media programme, and then the programme is implemented more widely by a Gates-funded NGO.
So now, why is the focus on African women? Why were their nations really hear about this same product? Do our leaders demand independent studies on possible side effects? And most importantly, is family planning really our biggest problem? Or are poverty, corruption, and failed policies that eat deeper into the soul of Africa? And that is the real big issue. I feel this isn't about one device. If we look at agriculture, for example, GMO seeds introduced with heavy funding in countries like Kenya, their farmers are dependent on patent seeds that cannot be replanted. Fertilizers have changed their soil ecosystem, and farmers now struggle with costs they didn't have before. In many cases, loans from institutions like IMF comes with conditions that force countries to adopt GMOs program tied to global corporations. So we have to ask, is Africa being offered real solutions, or is it being tied into a recycle or a cycle of debt and dependency? If you remember, in Endgame, Thanos believed wiping out half of the universe was an act of mercy, a way to save the rest. But he never asked those people what they actually wanted. So isn't this the same danger here? Decisions about African food, health, and reproductions are being made in boardrooms thousands of miles away from Africa. Shouldn't Africans be the ones deciding what is right for their families, or on our soil, or our future? I am not saying every vaccine is bad, every GMO, or every contraceptive is bad. No, don't quote me wrong. Some save lives, but history has shown us that Africa must be cautious. We must test, question, and demand transparency before we accept global experiments on our soil. Because if we don't ask questions today, the price tomorrow could be our independence, our health, even our population growth. So, what do you think? Is this new 8 years IUD a genuine step forward for African women, or another hidden agenda shaping African future? Type in the comments. Africa must decide if we believe Africans should have the final say. And remember, sharing this video make you one of the superheroes. If Thanos had the Avengers, African has us. Like this video so more people can see the truth. Subscribe so you won't miss the next expose when I serve it hot. My name is Branchide, your social media watchdog. See you in the next video.